So we first start asking you your names.
Right. I'm Joan.
I'm Christine.
I'm Marion.
I think there's always been a gents' tailors on the corner.
Birds.
Yes. And next to that was like an electrical shop, because we had an old radio that needed an accumulator.
Oh.
That's a
Going
battery,
back a bit, isn't it?
isn't it just? And we used to take our radio in there to have the accumulator topped up. It was like the precursor to the batteries.
Yeah.
That's what.
The accumulator. You had to pay £2 a week.
Yes,
did you?
every Friday evening.
Right.
The old battery was carried very carefully to the corner shop. I lived in Didsbury then.
Yeah.
And it turns each who should take this accumulator thing, because we always got a penny from the man behind the counter.
It was an accumulator.
What about where Morrison's is now? What was that?
That used to be the coal yards.
Right.
There was this Chorlton station.
Was the station still there?
The coal yards down there. They used to have cabins where you used to. I remember going and paying the coal bill in one of these huts. Hawk Yards was the name. Saturday morning pictures.
Yeah.
On a Saturday
I remember
morning.
the siren going where we were in the pictures. Couldn't get out quick enough.
Yeah.
Went all the way home to Didsbury.
What, from Chorlton?
You ran all the way.
Well, we got to Palatine Road, yeah. Sugar then.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of a way, isn't it? Really.
It is.
Especially if you're panicking a bit.
Run even faster then.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
were
you
your
probably
earliest
would.
memories? Where were you brought up?
Well, I was born in Didsbury, but then we moved to Wythenshawe, and I went to school in Wythenshawe, and we weren't too far from Ringway Airport as it was, and that's where all the paratroopers used to practice. Their, you know,
It was a centre for them,
how
wasn't
to,
it?
yeah. So basically, we were quite lucky in so much that we didn't get any bombs because of. We would have thought we'd gone for that, but anyway, we were quite lucky. We had to go into the air raid shelters, which were horrible. We had the Anderson shelter, you know, with the bunk beds in, and where we were, we thought all the back gardens came together. And one night my mum was saying, "Where's Pat? Where's Pat?" And a voice over the hedge said, "Oh, poor Mrs. McGrath, she's lost one of her children." She'd gone back to bed. But I can remember at school, if we went into the shelters, there were big concrete things, and they had these tilly lamps, you know, that used to swing, all the shadows. Very frightening. Where we lived at the top, there were some shops, and there was a greengrocer's, and the word went round one day that there were bananas. And I can see now all the women running down the road with their ration books to get bananas. But only you had to have a green ration book, which was for the under fives. You had to have, and of course, I was one of a big family, so we'd always got green ration books in our hands. It was the money we were short of.
I was born after the
Yeah,
war. There
well,
was
yeah, when
still
I got
rations
married.
after the war.
Sweets weren't
Yeah.
until about 1957 or something. Something
I
like that.
remember the
Yeah.
Chorlton
When I
Central
got married, we
Church.
still got the ration books.
There used to be a food office
McFadden.
in their church hall, wasn't there? A food office there, because I remember going to get the ration books.
Beach Road was a good little shopping area because you got your butchers, you got your post office, there was even a little shoe shop. And there was a greengrocer's. And it's all eating places now.
I moved to Kensington Road when I was 7, and I was saying before that I can remember all the shops. The top corner shop was the butcher's, Hicklins, and then there was a chip shop, and there was a sweet shop called the Elite, which I was saying we used to call it the Elite. And another grocer's on the corner of Cheltenham Road called Hunters, and they used to sell broken biscuits for a penny. There used to be a cobbler's there, didn't there? Do you remember? And there was a little man sitting in the window. Supposedly,
Well, that was Timpson's, wasn't it, on the corner?
supposedly
Timpson's
doing
They
his shoe.
they were great,
But
those, weren't they?
Yeah.
he missed his shoe. And he made a hole in his apron because he was missing the shoe.
And nobody repaired it. So,
I can always remember remember that, seeing that. And he's got a hole in his apron, he's not hitting the shoe.
Well, wasn't that tempting? Well, I find the shopping different, very is, because you could buy anything. You can't now because there's too many
Charity
eating places,
shops.
charities. Well, I don't mind the charity shops, I mean, but the eating places, do we need them? I don't know. And the fact that I've got to traipse all the way up here to a post office, because they've closed the post office on Beach Road, that's a pain.
It's a really annoying, isn't it?
It is annoying.
What do you think it's like? I mean, we're all growing older. Growing old in Chorlton. How do you think it? What do you think of the problems that people have got here?
Well, the state of the pavements to start with. The fact that they've got these trees in the middle of the pavement, and then you've got all the bins out. That I can't abide. Those bins everywhere.
The bins are just They're
Now you should just have one bin at your back. Yeah. The bin men used to come and hump it onto the shoulder and tip it out and bring it back. Sometimes, say down Stockton Road or Chequers Road, those places, you've got to walk down the middle of the road.
That's right, because there are cars parked
because
on the
there's car
pavement.
park, then they've got these trees, and then there's these bins. And it's just not how people with prams and things get on there.
Well, we have it on Grovey Road because it's a cul-de-sac end.
Yeah.
And honestly, the bins are lined up all week, not just weekends. They're all week lined up like little tin soldiers, honestly. Yeah. And you're dodging, cars are parked as well. So very often you end up walking on the road to get to the
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah. And which is not safe. It's certainly not hygienic. Was oldie.
But do you think, like the people who come to Chorlton Good Neighbours, do you think they're surviving okay by and large?
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Well, you go by when we're going to have an outing, and the money that comes in, and there's always a waiting list. They've got the money. They've got the money.
I loved Arthur's reminiscence on Sunday about an old lady who was in her hundreds, and the price of a tin of salmon had gone up by a penny.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, I'm not getting that."
That's right.
And then when she got home, she asked him, "Could you help me fill this cheque in for my grandson for £2,000? He needs a new engine for it."
That's right. Yeah. She gets her priorities right. Family comes first.
Do you think older people have different attitudes to younger people now?
Yes,
I would say.
Very much.
In what kind of way?
I don't know. I think the younger ones want everything straight away.
I was just going to say they're more carefree.
They're more carefree. They're not as caring, I don't think.
Oh no,
each other.
No,
we were growing up. We were so neighbourly. We knew everyone in the road.
Yes.
All the kids played together. The children.
But they could play out in those days.
They could.
And they can't
children
now.
are so, protected.
Yes.
Send your children off to the park now.
Oh,
I don't think you can now do it. That's the sad part.
So many hours in
That's the
Longford
sad
Park.
part. Even during the war, you were very safe. If you'd gone out you barely did go out in the blackout, but if you'd perhaps been to church for an evening, came back in the blackout, you were very safe. I don't even like being out now at night.
So you think there's the sense of community isn't quite the same?
It's not.
No, it isn't
Definitely
anywhere,
not.
I don't think, these days.
There is always someone would look out. If there was an older person on the road, everyone else looked out for them. I don't think they do the same these days.
Hi, we have a late arrival, the Enid here. We've all four of you volunteers. That's right, isn't it? And work here. What's your connection with Chorlton? How far does it go back?
I go back to about 1965. I didn't do very much in early days because I was working, but I did retire in 1982 and I did more work then. Most of the time now, if I do anything at all, it's working in the office helping Helen. Really, Whalley Range. So if anything, I'm more a Whalley Range person in those days, and now I'm a Chorlton person. But even though I came to Chorlton, to live in Chorlton, anything, I still did my shopping in Whalley Range because Alexandra Road was a wonderful...
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. Wonderful shopping area.
Yeah.
What are your views on how it's changed over the years?
The population has increased, no end. You can tell that wherever you go. There's more cars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yes.
Less decent shops. There's no
Yeah.
what I call dress shops or that sort of thing. Too many wine bars and what I call peculiar restaurants or cafes.
My son
Come to
was
live
saying
here.
only this morning that Chorlton is now becoming the in place to live. It's big. It's sort of, it took a dip, and now it's come up again, and it's
Yes, I was rather surprised at a meeting the other day, and I think you were in that meeting, when a young man who I feel has got a really good job said that he was coming to live in South Manchester in the autumn, but he couldn't afford Chorlton. He was going to try Withington and Didsbury.
Yes.
That surprised me.
Yes.
There seems to be a baby boom in Chorlton at the moment.
Yeah.
And you go into a cafe and it's like a creche.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Is that just my experience, or is it?
Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No.
My husband calls them the Panzer Corps because you come along the pavements and, you know, you've got to all a rush of them, aren't they?
Huge crowds.
The very big ones, yeah.
And some peculiar ones
Well,
as
I
well. Not
had
like
to run
ones
the
we
play
had.
group here on a Tuesday,
Yeah,
and we get quite a lot of mums in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yes.
When I came to live in Chorlton in 1958, my house cost £1,750. How are we going to afford that, we said?
Yeah, that's right.
Horror. And now I probably would get about 220 to 230,000 for it.
Well, the first one we bought on Nicholas Road when we were looking for a house, I can remember my husband sort of saying, I'm not paying 1,000 for that. Anyway, we got one on Nicholas Road. I think it was just about 1,000 actually. It was a 3-bedroom. It was 4-bedroom by the time he'd finished with it. But then we sold it for 2,000, I think, 2,000 something. Which we bought the one on High Lane for 2,600.
One of those big ones in Ireland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goodness.
People's life if Chorlton Good Neighbours collapsed and wasn't here.
Oh dear,
Oh,
we
it
must
would
have
be
a school of our own.
Terrible, yeah. No, I would hate the thought of it collapsing because these people,
me too.
you know, the ones that come, and I'm looking at being one of these in a few years and getting someone to push me in.
Well, the distinction isn't that a huge one, is it? I mean,
No.
sort of volunteer and user. It's not like there's a huge divide between the two. It's sort of it's a gradation, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They're a great ones.
We are helping people younger than ourselves, actually.
Well,
Well, I
some
know
of them,
that.
yes.
But
Well,
that's
that's-
fine because as
yeah.
long as you can do it, you
Well,
do it.
well, this is it. I mean,
And it does keep
some of the
busy.
volunteers are much older. There's Hilda Mason. She helps out
Yeah.
with me at the playgroup on a
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, and she's 86.
Yeah.
She's absolutely
She
amazing.
does all the ring round for the coffee
She
morning.
does. She comes into the office.
Yeah, she is.
She's incredible. I told you how old I was born in 1945, so I'm 66.
I was born in 1925.
I'm 32. Born in 32. I'm not 32 now.
I was born in 1930.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll work it out.
I'll be 81 in June.
I'm 78.
81 in June.
So, what do you think about Chorlton Good Neighbours and its importance? And
Importance to me.
well, importance to you and importance to other the people.
It's so important to all these people.
Yeah.
You only need to go in that hall and see how happy they are talking to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know myself, if for some reason I don't get out, I can find plenty of doing the house. I have places to go because I'm able-bodied. But I can just imagine what it'd be like if you couldn't get out and you were stuck in the house. All you've got is the television and perhaps the odd person to phone if you can think of anybody. So for some of the elderly, especially if they have no family, it's so important to them.
Well, didn't you at one time rely on Good Neighbours? Because did you have a fall or?
Yes,
or you hit done or
I
something?
broke. Well, I didn't
Broke.
rely on.
Well, what I mean is you were glad of it.
Yes, I broke my pelvis, so I was in hospital for a while, and then I was at home for a while. But I got lots of phone calls, and Arthur came round and he said, Arthur Brandeth, who does the wheelchairs, he said, you are walking now, but if you want me to come and lean on me for a walk, well, that was nice to know.
Yeah.
And Janet came to see me, who visits, you know, you've got her down. She came to see me and people came on the phone regularly, which was nice.
Some good neighbours that be 2 words. We care.
Yeah, the people go that extra mile.
Yes.
That's right.
And if you can't get somebody to give somebody, if you find somebody else, you don't just abandon
But
it.
we get such amazing feedback from the people that we help. It makes us feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
They're
just
very
as
appreciative.
it's just
no
as much
doubt about it.
a benefit for volunteers as it is for
Well,
you.
it
It is,
It
most
is.
definitely.
Yeah. If you go to the coffee morning,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll perhaps see someone sitting on their own, and that's the time when you feel you
Yes.
really are
Yeah.
needed to go and speak to that person, perhaps introduce them to somebody else.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but we always have lots of magazines on the table. So if anybody feels they're just sitting there, no one to talk to, there's always a magazine until somebody will come and talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the cheese
There's not
sandwiches.
enough men
Oh.
in the organisation, is there? I
No.
don't know what men want exactly, but they sit there.
Good
you see,
question.
we've lost a very good helper this week, Roger, that.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
very good at coming on a Thursday morning and talking to the elderly gentleman. And it's very hard to find activities for old people.
Have you got any strategies for the way you think of your own futures developing from what you've learned here?
Not me, anyway, to... I mean, if I hadn't heard of Good Neighbours, I just can't bear to think... I'm pretty sure my life would have just been humdrum.
And apart from Good Neighbours, I've always intended that the day would come when I would move to a flat. You know, a smaller place to look after. But I'm holding out as long as I can, and I think most people do. The big memory in my mind, I mean, I'm going back to when I was little, because actually, I mean, I lived in Molly Range, I was born in Molly Range. No farms anymore. Just on the edge of Chorlton, Withington Road, there was a farm called Britain's Farm, and they had mostly cows. And it was a proper, and it was so nice to go to that farm. And then there was Bailey's Farm at the top of Nell Lane. There was Hardy Farm. What's it called? Hardy Farm. Mellor. It was called Mr. Mellor on Hardy Lane, just before you get to the road that leads to Jackson's Boat. Down Wilburn Road, say from Withington Road up to St Werburgh's Road, there were fields of cows when I was little. Yeah, it's hard to believe. You could smell the smell of when they kill the pigs.
Yeah.
It was a horrible smell. But you know what I mean? You don't get that sort of thing anymore, do you?
Like we at the
That's in our
Chorlton History Group the other day, somebody who was brought up opposite the baths at the butcher's on the corner, Hicklins, yeah. She remembers when they used to keep pigs before they were slaughtered, just where the unicorn is now, which I thought was a bit ironic. It's a vegan supermarket.
That's right. It's changed.
I can remember during the war, one family had a pig in their back garden. I mean, this is, you know, and when everybody used to give their potato peelings, help feed it. So when it was killed, you all got a little bit of the pig.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
end it there. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.